Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today it is another episode of Market Update, and specifically, we are going to answer the question: How much home values has gone down in Phoenix, Arizona? So let's dive right into the material today. Okay. All right, let me share with you this screen right here. This is gonna be a couple information about the market. Before we answer the question, because all the time I always based on the numbers and the fact happening, right? Not based on the rumor, not based on the headline of the market. Sorry, I have to adjust my chair a little bit. So basically, we are looking at right now the contract ratio chart. This is basically, if you look at the top right here, this is the definition of the contract ratio. It is the number of under contract divided by the number of active listing on the market multiplied by 100, right? This one showing the balance, the ratio between the demand basically under contract and the supply on the market. And as of right now, as you see, December is 34.2. So it's basically in the border, right at the border between the warm market and a cool market. Okay. When it is cool, no one interact. When it is warm or hot, the buyers actually do some activities there and the market keep going. Now, one of the things that interesting, as you see here, since September, October, November, and December is almost about a flat line. There is a small reduction here in the week 34, which is it's kind of difficult to see here. Oh, there you go. We can see it. Sorry. There you go. The contract ratio is about 30.6 in the week of 45, right? And now it is 34.2. So 30.6 is actually the lowest since September, right? Now, as the other thing that you're gonna see also is the number under contract between the week 45 and week 50 is they are about the same, right? 5,962 versus 5,924. So they are very similar. Okay. So which make the week 50 has the higher contract ratio? It is mainly because of the active listing. As you see here, the active count of week 45 is about 19,454. The active listing count for week 50 is only 17,000. So we can see that the number of listing is smaller, which means that supply is less, right? Which means about the same number of under contract, but this contract ratio is actually going higher. This is actually a good news for the market because as you see here, we still have the same about constant demand on the market, right? Even though regardless of how the interest rate is so high right now, regardless of a lot of news saying the market will crash, we still have a very strong demand in the buyer, not very strong, but a very constant demand for from the buyer to the market, which is a good signal for the market. Okay, now you probably say this is horrible, right? Some of you may say this is horrible because 34.6 is not a very good. It's not. It's very cool, almost a very cool market. But I just want to emphasize that we are also in a slow season of the market as well. As you see here, in every single year, right, from 2014 around December, we do see a dip, right? 15, 16, if you see all the yellow, 17, 18, 19, even in 2020, you still have the dip around December, November, the third quarter, okay? The third quarter, we see the dip there, okay? So it is expected for this time of the year. It is not because of the interest rate, but it is just a seasonal thing for Arizona that in December, a fourth quarter of the year, normally we're going to have a dip in terms of the transaction number, right? But if you're looking at further, we always see around January or February, there's actually an increase. So I expecting if the interest rate doesn't go up in the less favored, meaning that it is going higher, right? We can see that, expect that the January, February, and March market gonna be much better, much stronger than now as well. Okay, so that is actually good news for the consumers nowadays on the market. Is that number one, we still don't see a signal of crash, right? Because obviously there's still a demand. There's still a constant demand since September. And secondly, we are already almost finished the season, December, right? So January, March, so it's coming soon to the best time to buy property in Arizona, around March or April of this year. Okay. um, Now, this is another measurement for the market, and show it also show, as you see here, both supply. Okay, this is supply index and this is demand index. Both of them is actually decline, right? As you see here, both of them decline. But as you see here, the demand is actually almost a flat line. Okay, almost a flat line, versus the supply is actually a big drop. This is showing that the seller is actually less motivated to sell right now. So in contradictory with a lot of people thinking it is a crash, right? Whenever there is a crash in the market, the seller are more motivated to sell at any price, right? In this situation, you don't see that happening. You see a lot of a lot of seller like, I don't want it to sell, right? I just keep selling. I just keep the property. I just gonna rent the property to the market, right? That is one of the reasons why there's so many rental listings on the market right now, as you see. So if you check on the number of rental listing on the market, you're gonna see actually it is going higher than before. Okay, so instead of selling the property, they do have another options as well. So as that, which leads to the situation that the supply index is actually going down faster. Now, as a result, as you see here, the overall market is actually increased a little bit, right? It's actually increased, right? That meaning that the overall market is about 89.7. 90, if this number is a 90, it is a balanced market within the yellow right here. Okay. Yep. All right. So that is another indication that the market is actually in the balanced market. And as you see here, this is another indication. This is another look in terms of the comfort market index. You see level of 2020, 2022 right here, right? Is very high at the beginning of the year. And now after March, okay, after March, we should have a big drop here. But almost since August, September, October, November, December, everything is almost like about the same, all right, around the 100 level, which is the balanced market. Now, did it drop a little bit, as you see here? This drop, I kind of do a red highlight here because it's kind of difficult to see. It dropped a little bit, but we can see that it's actually going follow the trend of 2010 very well, right? You see here, it's follow the trend of 2010 very well, and I think it's going to be eventually going back up toward next year. Who knows when? But for sure, it's going to go back up. Just so follow the because that is the trend that they follow right now. The next chart is also a comfort market index. Now, if you don't believe, this is another indication that the market is actually moving in a better direction. As you see here, only even though there's only 3 cities that in a seller market right now, right? Fountain Hills, Scottsdale, and Cape Creek, where are a lot of high-end listing in those cities, right? Now, we see that there are more. Paradise Valley is still in the balanced market. So now 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the area that has a lot of luxury properties there. They are at the top, right? If you like a little bit closer to the centers, we see Chandler, Phoenix, Glendale, Gilbert, and Tempe, right? Most of them are in the East Valley, right? You see that this is the mild buyer market. And then the other 4 is strong. Surprise, Peoria, Mesa, and Avondale is a stronger buyer market a little bit. For those areas that have a lot of buildings activities, new houses activities, like Goodyear, Maricopa, Queen Creek, and Buckeye, they're actually in the strongest market right now. Okay, but don't be worried, because as you see here, there's a lot of green arrow. Okay, there's a lot of green arrow, meaning that it is toward a better, more favorable to the increase, right? The index increase. We don't want to keep it in a very cold, very strong buyer market for a long time, because you know why? If it is a long time in a cold market, meaning there are no activities whatsoever in the the active, right? In the market, right? In this one, you can see that even though they are still, the majority of the city are still in the buyer's market, we actually have a lot of difference between like we actually have three groups within the buyer market, and you can see that there's an improvement in those indexes as well. Okay. All right. Now to answer the next question, how much has the home has been decreased, right? How much home value has gone down in Phoenix area? Now, as you see here, this chart is a little bit complex, because I want to emphasize first the interaction between the supply and the demand indexes to the price. This right here is the price, price. Okay, the green one is the demand, and the supply one is the supply. The red one is the supply. So right now we are right here. It's very messed up. We kind of difficult to see what's going on here. But I would say that this is very similar to 2014 or a little bit 2010, 11, right? When we have the cross between the green line and the red line. Okay, now the crossing doesn't mean that it's going to be automatically drop in automatically drop in price. For example, if you see here, 2010, there's a cross, right? Yes, there's a drop here, but after that, we can see that's almost a constant price right here. In 2014, there's a cross here, but it's also going up. Okay, as long as the signal is not very strong, to see, similar to this case, right? It's further out, it's further separated between the two lines, right? You can see the drop. But if it is not further separated, then the price is still going higher. And for this time, obviously, there's a drop here, and that the price also impacted for that reason. From May to December, we see about 11% drop on the home prices. Okay, similarly, when the comfort market index go down, as this is a better pictures for you to compare between now and 2010. Okay, it's very similar situation when it is actually, we can see that the comfort market index is the change of the comfort market index is right in a negative, right? Whenever the comfort market index is a negative number, we can see that the home appreciation is actually decreased. Similar to, I want to show this because it's very similar to very similar chart to 2010, right? We see a negative there, and then every year, every month in the end of 2010, beginning of 2011 is about 11% year over year negative, like decrease. Okay, so we're gonna expect to see that in 2023, the home price is gonna keep going, of course, down, right? This is the, and again, it's just compare between what we already know. There's no prediction here, right? Because who knows tomorrow when the Fed tell everyone about a consumer index, inflation goes down, interest rate go way down, right? Who knows? But what I'm trying to convey is that we have a very similar situation here in 2010. So we can see that maybe something gonna be similar to that, like another 10-11% decrease for the next couple months in 2023. Now, what does that mean to the home buyers and to the seller, right? Now, as I point out here, the negative annual appreciation is actually not always a bad thing to think about, okay? Because you know what? Even like right now, we already only 1.1, because whenever you compare the annual appreciation, right? Annual appreciation, that means you compare with the previous year. That means you compare with the the same months of the previous year. For example, if you compare December of 2021 versus December of 2022, we still have about 1.1% annual appreciation, meaning that the home price about $270 per square feet here is now $273 per square feet, right? It's still an increase. Now, the reason why we have a negative annual appreciation within the next couple of months is because obviously you can see that the trend of the line is going to keep going down, or maybe a little bit flat here toward the end of 2023. So when you compare with 2022, is always a low number compared to 2022, right? It's always a smaller number compared to every month of 2022, and therefore it's going to be negative. Okay, therefore it's going to be negative. For that reason, it's not necessarily bad, because why I say that? If you compare to 2 years, right now, right? If you compare 1 year period, it's only 1.1%. If you compare to 2 years, it's 28%. If you compare 3 years, 52%. If you compare 4 years, 65%. If you compare 5 years, it's 74%. So for those of you, this is for the seller. For those of you who own the house more than 2 years, you are still way more profit than when you bought the property at. So don't be discouraged. Don't be sad, because you cannot guess the maximum points, right? Because who knows when this happened, or who knows when the bottom gonna happen, right? Because normally real estate, the time that when you purchase a property, right, you may already pass the bottom or the top. You already passed that, because the real estate, you don't know until 2 or 3 months later to find out whether you are at the bottom or at the top, right? So don't be discouraged if you bought the property more than a year, right? In fact, 65% active listing on the market right now is actually 2 years, bought the house 2 years ago. So meaning that even though they gonna drop the price a little bit, instead of 300, now they 273, they still earn on average about 28.6% compared to when they bought the house at, right? So for those of you for seller, you don't have to worry about if you bought the house a lot more than a year. Don't worry about the profit. I mean, you obviously do not have the maximum profit, but you still have a strong, a good amount of money in your pocket at the end of the day. Okay. For the buyer, when you look at this chart right here, right? Again, to the concept that when you put down, a lot of buyers thinking about waiting for the bottom of the market. But here's the thing, you don't actually know when the bottom is, right? By the time that you know it is the bottom, right, it is already it's already 2 or 3 months past. Because here's the thing, when you put in a contract, right, that contract doesn't close for the next like 30 or 45 days. So after 30 or 45 days, a lot of people already put a contract to the same house in the same neighborhood already. Maybe they put higher, put lower, but they don't know what the price you put in, right? So it could be the bottom, or whatever they put in could be the bottom, but the future person don't know until that house closed. Does that make sense? Hopefully it makes sense, because you don't know. Like for real estate, always respond very slow, and when you know about a number of the previous purchaser, it's already past, right? It's already in the past. So if you see, that is now it is at the bottom, there's no such a thing, right? Because you don't know whether now December is a bottom or not. You only know if you are in February or March, when you look back and like, oh, okay, now let's go back up. So therefore, December is the bottom. That is the only time that you can know. All right. So what I recommend is that for the next couple months, I gotta keep following the trend right here, and you should too, because this one give you a most recent update, and depend on how it goes up or it goes down, depend on the interest. If you have the right house, if you find the right house and the monthly payment is reasonable to you, then I think it is the best time for you to purchase. Do not wait for the bottom. Do not wait for the crash. We're not going to see the crash as of right now. There's no indication say that we are going to see the crash, not next year, not the year after, right? Of course, I don't know the future. However, though, of course, I don't know the future, but because something could happen, right? But as of right now, there's no signal to tell us that could happen. Okay, so for the buyers, if it is a good house, if the monthly payment is good for you, if the seller is willing to subsidize for some of your costs in terms of buy down, interest rate, in terms of helping you with the closing costs, it is a good house for you, the monthly payment is right for you, this is actually the best time to purchase because you have more options to choose from. There's not a lot of competition. If you wait for the interest rate to goes down, a lot of people are going to come back to the market as well, and you may end up have to pay higher than the asking. Instead of right now, you can lower the asking price. All right, thank you so much everyone for watching the video today. If you do have any question, please contact me directly. My cell phone number is right here on the screen, 602-515-2442. Thank you, bye-bye.